Hello, everyone. Today I'm looking at I Am Your Beast. This game is fun, like really, really fun. And I'm not sure what genre to put it in, but it's similar to, I would say it's very similar to Hotline Miami, but it's a first-person shooter, which makes it, I guess, different. But it's a high-paced, action-driven, kind of sequence game where you have very small, very tight, very well-designed levels, and you have a series of a few moves that you keep using over and over again. There's also reminded me a lot of the game Bloodroots. And in Bloodroots, what essentially happens is, a similar setup where it's basically Hotline Miami, but you're set in the 1800s in a forest, and you have all these weapons that do all these things that you don't think they do, like a ladder makes you jump up. But anyway, that's that game. This game is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of what I would call mystical or mythical elements to it. It's very more or less based in fantasy. So you have guns, you have a knife, pistol, shotgun, assault rifle, and sniper. And basically you run through the levels, and it's very much based around doing the levels as fast as possible, and so it scores you. And then aside from that, you also have how many kills you rack up. That's extra points, but really the lion's share of your points actually comes from the speed and the timing of the game. You'll basically, if you do a level as fast as possible without killing anyone, you will actually get an A rank. And then if you kill people along the way, you can possibly get S rank. And I've only gotten one S rank throughout the whole game, which I had to. It was really, really difficult. But again, the game is very fast paced, very well made, just like super, super tight. This feels like a AAA game, but it's from an indie dev. And that leads me to think, again, that PC gaming or getting access to the games that people are making, which aren't on console anymore, is going to be the future. And that future is basically on Steam, which is very interesting to think about. So basically the way it works is you also have melee attacks, so you can jump on guys that'll knock them out. You can then stomp them to kind of execute them. That's one button. Another button, if you're unarmed, you can do 3 punches that'll kill an enemy. So you can also throw things that'll also knock down enemies, and then you can either take their weapon or execute them or just ignore them and move on. You also have, so the knife is a one-hit kill. You can also throw it. That's also a kill. The pistol usually takes about 5 or 6 body shots to kill someone, but if you get a headshot, that's an instant kill, so that's basically how you use it. The shotgun is a one-hit kill body shot, like 90% of the time. Extremely useful. Then you have the, the assault rifle, and that usually will take 2 shots to the head for a headshot. And then you have the sniper rifle, which is really cool because it'll go through multiple enemies. So in certain wave modes or horde modes, what will happen is you will have a bunch of guys in a line, and you can kill like 10 guys in one shot. It feels really, really cool. Outside of that, there is actually a really great little story that is going on, and it's told through these recording tapes. And I love that there's no cutscene, no visualization of the characters. It's all audio. And what's really great is it reminds me of those old typography videos where someone's mannerisms, their words, and the writing of the script feels very natural, and it flows like a real conversation, where someone has sighs and the ums and ahs and in between, and it's all kind of shown as text on a screen. And what's very cool is that each character has their own color background when they're talking, as well as when their mood changes, it'll turn to red when they're really angry and serious. And the whole story revolves around this guy who's an ex-agent, kind of like a Jason Bourne guy, who's retired, and he's tired of the military asking him to go on assassination missions. And so it's kind of silly, honestly, but in order to get him to come in, they send military guys into the forest, and he just keeps killing them. So you just keep killing essentially your own comrades or your old guys, just because they won't leave you alone. And it's the arrogance of the general that keeps coming after him. And it's just this stupid story. It's like, go and fight for me. And he's like, no. It's like, I'll just keep killing men until you stop sending men that you think it's not worth it to have them die to come and get me. and because I'm not doing any more favors for you. And so just because the arrogance of the general, he refuses to do this. And I remember the main character's name is Alphonse Harding, or they just call him Harding. And it's really cool. Even the dialogue when you're in the game, they'll say Harding is here, or Harding has a shotgun, Harding whatever. So it very much like a Jack Reacher, Jason Bourne kind of guy. I think if you've watched those movies and played this game immediately after, it's going to be the exact same kind of energy and experience. Oh, I also forgot there's other objects in the environment like exploding barrels, bear traps. Later you get RPGs near the end of the game. What I really like are the hornet's nests, because they act completely unrealistically. Where you shoot it, it drops down and it kills anyone in that vicinity like an explosive barrel, which I think is really funny. Again, very tight, very, very cool. Really, really enjoy it. And yeah, the story basically, again, revolves around these two guys essentially arguing with each other. You have to come in. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm tired of killing people, so I'm just going to kill anyone you send against me until you just get the message. And you get like a little bit of story or backstory, and even just through these voices and text on screen, you get a feel for the characters. So there's the main guy, Alphonse Harding. There's the general. There's also a guy called Byron, who is like an inside guy who basically like, if you don't kill me, I'll give you intel, and like they kind of become friends and buddies over the course of the thing. Yeah, so it actually is able to tell a decent-ish story. And what's more so surprising to me, though, I think this game, I would give it like a 10 out of 10 or like a 5 out of 5 if it had a little bit more story elements or whatever. But what it does have is a lot of very aesthetic qualities. Not only is it made very, very well, and it's a fun game on its surface, but it has a certain aesthetic. It has this crypto, almost cel-shaded style to it. Again, it's really, really intense, high action, and it's really easy to talk about making a game like this, but someone's actually made it, and it's very, very cool how it's made. It's just really, really fun. Again, the voice acting feels very real, very believable, and just in general very authentic, I would say. And yeah, the style of the game, again, it has this almost cel-shaded like style. The art on the cover kind of it exemplifies this, and it's really when you see gameplay, you're getting what you look at, or what you see is what you get, in the sense that the gameplay is very representative. Like, I don't know, it feels weird to say that, but we've had so many games in the past that don't actually play how they look, or trailers are super misleading, or cinematics. But no, this is like a real someone said like there's games and then there are games for gamers, and this is one of those games where it is, again, a certain level of abstraction, but it's very, very fun. And again, the voice acting is just so spot on. It's a very unique experience. And what I also do like about it is the game is generally super short. It's not very long at all, and I basically beat it in one day, like the whole story, the whole campaign. But I would love to go back and play it some more because it's so tight, and that's what I love about what I consider to be good games like this, which is that they're not very long, they don't waste your time, but they're very tight, very focused, and just very, very well tailored. And I just played another game, Lawrence Lure, that I was really looking forward to, and I honestly like this game better than that. I mean, Lawrence Lure is very atmospheric, it's very cool, but it does not have the same energy and the same cadence. And even though I spend more time with that game, I really prefer this game. And as a game in general, and usually I play games for narrative points and story and aesthetic and atmosphere, and for me to like a game just based on a gameplay is very rare and very hard to do. So that tells you just how well this thing has been made when coming from my experience of all the games I've played. Of course, there are other things you pick up like not ammo, but health, and armor. Another really cool thing that I do enjoy that is smart to do is that when you pick up a new weapon, even if the weapon you drop has a bunch of ammo in it, that weapon disappears. So it's basically saying as to not clutter the ground when you needed something immediately. So it's like if you switch to a weapon, it's implied that you don't need it anymore. So there's so many smart things that this game does, and it really does feel like the best way I can describe it is first person shooter Hotline Miami. That's exactly what it is. And but even to that point, I would say the one thing that did surprise me is that you have a lot of health in this game. You have you can take a surprising amount of damage, which makes it very fun and very fair for you to kind of go through levels without killing anyone. It's a very different kind of style and vibe, but I really like it. And is it kind of easy in that sense? Yeah, in a way, but it's the difficulty again with these games is there's one point in learning a game, and then there's mastering a game and understanding all the mechanics and getting like an S rank and getting really good at the game, which it should encourage players. So I really it's perfect. It's perfectly balanced in that sense, where I really love it, where a new player can come into a game, feel like a total badass, but then to actually master it and feel like a real pro player, it'll take a lot more time to essentially master the game. And so that's why I love it. On the base, it's like Devil May Cry, on the base level, it's really easy to learn it, and then after enough time, you feel like you absolutely own the game. You feel like a super badass. But it is, again, I love this game. It is a short, clean, distinct experience. It'll take you maybe 7 hours or so to beat, but it is the most intense 7 hours of your life. I can tell you that. It's really great. This is what I would call this. I would call this an adrenaline game. That's kind of what I would call it, a fast-paced action game. High octane action. I don't know, all the buzzwords you always hear about video games and the experience they're supposed to give. This one actually gives you it, and I get it, and I love it because it's not just that. They also have a little story, a little atmosphere and aesthetic, and of course the main thing is the music and the high amplitude. It's really interesting how it works, where I noticed that it'll have kind of like a washed out version of the high speed techno whatever action song when you start the level and when you're not in combat, and then when you enter combat, then it pops in, and then of course as you hit the retry button or you die, as you will often do, what's interesting is that the music will not restart. It'll actually pick up from the last spot where you left off, which is a really interesting thing that I've actually noticed in other games that I don't like when it does that, because it implies that, oh, I'm restarting the music, I'm restarting this segment, and it's a weird, I don't know how to put it, it's a weird thing or trope we don't tend to think about, but it's really nice to see that kind of looked at or addressed or mentioned, because it feels way better to have it in this style where it just picks up, so you feel like you're not repeating, that you're progressing. It's such a small subtlety that I never really took for granted, and I just loved that someone bothered to even talk about it. I guess another thing I should mention, as I was playing through this game, I played it through the first few levels on mouse and keyboard, and I just had to switch to controller. This is absolute controller game. This feels like a game made for Xbox. This is absolutely an Xbox game, and I was able to hook up my Xbox One controller, and it worked, pretty well. But I can see this this feels like a Game Pass game. This feels like a game that pops up on your feed, and you're like, okay, I'll give this a try, and it's really, really good. But I'm kind of glad I didn't, wait the time until it came out on console, because it's just that good. Like, you should go and play it. And if I'm being honest, the reason I'm playing this is because there was one YouTube channel, a YouTuber, the guy who makes the animations. Oh my god, I'm forgetting his name, and I'm hating myself for that. But he makes the animations about another great video he did about dynamic music, which I still think about to this day. It's really, really important, really useful video. And if you've seen it, you've seen it. Anyway, he basically just made a YouTube short saying, you guys need to play this game. And so I was like, okay. Usually I don't hop on things. I really like waiting, but I'm glad I hopped on this, because this is an amazing experience, and short too. I guess another thing too that I'm thinking about, would it have been better if I had waited to play this game when it came out on like a platform that I wanted more? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to think about that. But yeah, playing this with controller is almost a must. It's just so much easier to turn and shoot. And what I also like about this, I mean, when I talked about the difference between PC games and console games, is that with PC games, because of the accuracy of the mouse, there's just way more accurate things you can do. So whenever I'm playing a console game and the interface or the feedback is very, very specific and super, super narrow, I would like, this is not a console game. But with PC games, you can be super narrow, and like RTS games, for example, obviously, and things like Oregon, what was it, Space Lord Oregon Trading Simulator, where you have to be super specific with where you're aiming. Those games work really well on PC just because of the mouse and the keyboard setup. But this game definitely feels like a controller game, like 100%. But yeah, I just feel that, if these kinds of games are going to come out on Steam as indie games rather than, on console first, I see myself, for that reason, moving more to console in the future for the reason of, access to indie games. That's really, because indie games are real games at this point. AAA doesn't make games, they make gambling simulators, and it's sad to see, but it's the state of things. And this is one of those real games, or a game I would call a real game. This is an amazing experience. Oh yeah, I forgot what I was going to mention up on that accuracy point. So what was surprising is that in order to pull off a headshot in this game, you don't need to be super accurate. You can basically be aiming in the general direction of their people's heads, and I've been surprised when I've got to pull off headshots, and I was like, that shouldn't have been a headshot, but thank you. It's very, very forgiving, and it doesn't need you to be super accurate, which I really enjoy. It's very nice of them to do that, I guess, as if this was like an extra benefit at a restaurant or something. Man. What else can I say about this game? I mean, it's short, it's great, it's tight. I guess I would have maybe liked a more distinct character, because this game is so good, it deserves to be recognized. I wish it had a more identifiable main character. I don't like the fact that its main cover is punching like an enemy NPC, because like it loses the tone of the game. It doesn't sell it very well. It's like, this is a game that is about a game. It's similar to Superhot. Like, it's really fun, it's really core, gameplay, really great to play, but it's missing an identitarian style. So unlike in Hotline Miami, where it's like Jacket, even though his name is Jacket, super stupidly simple, at least he's identifiable. At least he is a character in some respect. He at least has some kind of thing that identifies him or makes him unique in some way, and thusly identifies the game, and the whole mode of experience that the game portrays. So I wish it had more of that, and it'd be great if a certain maybe a certain color, a certain style, a certain the music is very distinct. There's so many distinct things about this game that I do enjoy, that I think it is doing right, that to have that little extra cherry on top would make it so much better, and that's kind of what I wish. I guess another thing that also maybe took me aback, and even though it's odd but not odd, is that there's a lot of comm chatter on as you're playing the game. So the soldiers will say, Hardings, he's over here, he's climbing, he's clambering. They won't mention everything, obviously, but they'll do it like once every fifth thing you do. Like, he has this kind of gun. He took the funniest thing actually in this game, and it's so stupid, is they say Harding's using headshots when you're getting a lot of headshots, and it's like they talk about headshots as if it's like some ancient technique. Yes, the old headshot technique. Okay. like that's what he's doing. He's killing guys, but no, he's using the headshot technique. I don't know. It sounded it's a bit silly, but it's not silly in the context of the game. But yeah. Anyway, I think there's 20 missions in the main game, which is, again, a perfect amount. Gets you a handle and a style for everything. And then there's, how many? Roughly 12 or so bonus missions. So again, if you really are here just for the gameplay, like, Metal Gear Solid, to give you simulation missions, you can have more of that. So yeah, and to the point, I, as a narrative style gamer, I appreciate the extra missions, but without the kind of story or dialogue to kind of go with it, to me, it really doesn't feel as engaging. And it also makes me think, well, is dialogue on a screen, the really well done dialogue on the screen, necessary, all that's necessary for a game to be good? And it's like, kind of. I mean, it's like the bare minimum requirement. If this game didn't have that aspect to it, I think I might honestly rate it lower, because it's just like, okay, whatever. But there is a certain vibe, a style, something is, being sung in a way, or accomplished, or or shown through, the character struggle, a certain, vibe or aesthetic, or at least something, and what I also love is that when the character's running, the shotgun or the pistol is all at a 45-degree angle. I don't know why that looks so cool and no one else has really done it, but I think it does look super, super cool, and I love that it looks that way. Oh god, another thing I should mention just by remembering is that again, I said this game is decently easy, and it is hard, but there are some things that make it very easy. Like if in other games, if you were to shoot an explosive barrel close range, you'd be instantly killed. But here it doesn't do that. It actually lets you shoot the barrel close range. It's like, yeah, no, that's fine, you can do that. And again, I just think it's so kind of what do you say, like generous sometimes with how it just treats the player, but it's also very hard. So the game is hard, but it never feels unfair. It never feels cheated. When the snipers are sniping you, they have these big reticles. So if you ever screw up, it is your fault. I never felt that the game cheated me there or something. I never felt that. I always felt I screwed up, or that was my problem, and that's something very hard to pull off. Sometimes I feel that the game's design or game levels, oh well, that was unfair or etc. But the entire time you feel in control and everything is totally your fault or not, essentially. Yeah, I know this is a really tight, well done game. Amazing to play. I had a ton of fun playing it. Not much else to say. Go play it. I'm really excited to see more games like this, and more story as well. I think that'd be really cool. And again, it's kind of hard to say that because I feel like the game is so well balanced that if you add anything, it'll take away from the core experience. And this is why it's kind of like a Devil's Gambit or something, where I want to see a sequel to this game, but at the same time, I don't want to play the exact same game over again. So it's so, I don't know, I'm so kind of conflicted because I know, game developers and gamers will say, oh, gamers have unrealistic expectations. And it's like, well, we kind of do. Imagine if this was a movie. We're not going to watch the exact same movie again. We want to see something different but familiar. And again, when you're adding stuff, you do kind of lose that magic in between sequels, like Halo 1 to Halo 2. Like there's a really core gameplay. There's certain things that are broken, like the pistol, but overall it's such a unique, cohesive experience that you just can't get again. You are never going to get the same experience with any game unless it's just a remake or a remaster, which is why I guess those games are kind of popular, because people do want to almost relive those experiences again, but without being too samey, I guess is the incorrect word. Anyway, guys, this game is great. Who knows what the future may hold, but all I know is that this game is awesome. I'll see you later. Bye, guys.